Hey guys, welcome to science. Alright, we are on our last kind of vertebrate. Remember, the animals were split into two groups depending on whether they had backbones or didn't have a backbone. And remember, all the animals that have backbones are called vertebrates. The animals that do not have backbones are called invertebrates, and we're going to talk about those later. We've only been working on the vertebrates this week and a little bit last week. So we had those 5 kinds of vertebrates: mammals, birds, reptiles, fish, and we're going to talk about amphibians today. That's our last kind, the amphibian. And after we learn about the amphibians, we'll have our live lesson, and we're going to talk about all the different kinds of animals and make sure that we understand all about them. Because these 5 animals, yeah, they all have a backbone, which is the same, but there's other things that are the same and different about them. And depending on what kind of body parts they have or what they have on their body, that's how they're grouped into these groups. It depends on maybe what covers their body, or if they do something special, what group they might fit in. So that's how they split them up. They kind of decided, well, the animals that have this will be in that group, and the animals that have this will be in that group. That's how they split these animals up. So it kind of depends on what they're like and what they have. So I've saved amphibians for the last, because amphibians are kind of special, and the video is going to explain what I mean by that. But amphibians do something that none of the other animals do, and it's something called a metamorphosis. Can you say metamorphosis? It's a hard word, but the video is going to explain, and we're going to talk about it at the end of the video, what metamorphosis means. But that's what makes animals amphibians. They're special like this. So let's go ahead and watch the video and find out what it means. Alright, so here's our amphibians, and there are only just a few animals that are amphibians. I'm going to click on this salamander, and our video will come up.
Are you ready for this one? I don't know. Better be careful. It sure looks slimy.
Amphibians are a group of animals made up of frogs, toads, newts, and salamanders. Amphibians are cold-blooded and have bones inside their bodies like reptiles, but they are different in many ways. Amphibians begin their lives living in the water, but when they grow into adults, they live on land. So amphibians have 2 lives, one in the water and one on land. The word amphibian means double life, 2 lives. Most adult amphibians live in warm, wet areas or near water because they have to keep their skin wet and lay their eggs near water. Amphibian eggs hatch in the water. An adult frog lays its eggs in the water. When the eggs hatch, larvae swim out. Frog larvae are called tadpoles. At first, tadpoles don't have any legs. As tadpoles get bigger, they grow legs for walking on land and lungs for breathing air. When the change is complete, frogs are able to leave the water and live on land. They return to the water when it is time to lay their own eggs. This change from egg to larva to adult is called metamorphosis.
Alright. So that was our amphibians, and they talked about the metamorphosis. Metamorphosis means change, because amphibians, sorry, my nose is itching. Amphibians are the only animals that start out as something and then change into something else. That's a metamorphosis. What do amphibians start out as? You know, they start out as an egg, and when the egg hatches, what are they? Yeah, they're tadpoles. All of these animals, I'll go back to the picture. All of these different animals that it was talking about in the video, there are frogs and toads, salamanders and newts. And this is a frog too. There's only 4. Frogs, toads, salamanders, and newts are the only kind of amphibians. And they all, when they hatch, they all look like tadpoles. And tadpoles kind of look like little fish, don't they? Yeah, Tadpoles have gills. They live in the water. They can't get out of the water. If you were to get a tadpole and take it out of the water, it would die because it has to be in the water for its gills. But as the tadpole grows and gets older, what happens to it? It changes. It has a metamorphosis. They grow legs. Their tail disappears and they get lungs instead of gills. And then they can go and live on the land now. So that's what I mean about amphibians changing. They start out as tadpoles and then they change into something else when they get older. None of the other animals do that, do they? Do monkeys start out as something else and change into a monkey? No. Do snakes start out as something else and then change into a snake? No. When it hatches out of an egg, it's a snake and it stays a snake. It just gets to be a bigger snake. Same thing for monkeys. When monkeys are born, it's a monkey. It just grows into a bigger monkey. But amphibians are not like that. When they hatch, they are tadpoles, and then they change into maybe a newt, or they might change into a frog, or a salamander, or a toad, just depending on which kind of animal laid the eggs. But that's what makes amphibians so special. So here in just a second when we have our live, we're going to talk about all the animals and how they're alike and how they're different, and we're going to make sure that you know all about these different kinds of animals, okay? All right, I'll see you in a few minutes.